Hello and welcome back to the Moss Rods channel. I know things have been a little quiet over here, but we figured it'd be a good time to do a little update and just kind of filling you in on what I've been doing behind the scenes. Again, has not been a lot. I know I said this in the last video, but I'm still kind of stuck in my low motivation era of building right now. It's starting to wane. I'm starting to find myself with more motivation, but still just been kind of slow going around here. But wanted to give you all an update because I felt like it's been a while and got to make sure you guys remember who I am. So we're going to start off this video with a little bit of a haul. I've been doing a little bit of shopping over the last 2 months, and then we'll take it out to the workbench and I'll show you the 2 builds that I'm working on out there. So we'll go ahead and start off with the haul, and we'll start off with this. So if you've spent, I guess, any time in the model car YouTube realm, you've probably heard of something called the Unified Scale Auto Content Creators, the USAC, which is, as the name would imply, a group of content creators revolving around scale models. And they do a build every year where one of the members of the club, I don't know if it's really a club, but it's a group, chooses a kit, and everyone that's interested involves himself in this group build. And this year they have chosen the 69 Camaro kit by Revell, and I did not have one in the collection just because I do like a Camaro. I think they're cool, but I just don't have the interest in building one really. Honestly, if I were to build a Camaro, it would most likely end up as a Copo because that's the Camaro I love. I've seen a couple of them in person, and just true, honest Copos are one of the coolest muscle cars ever built. Other than that, I'm much more of a second-generation Camaro fan. And when they announced the build, I did not have a lot of interest in it. I didn't know what I would build, and so I just kind of figured, okay, it's not going to be for me. Maybe we'll try next year. But I put some more thought into it, and I think it's been about a month now since they've started the group build, and that's given me some time to think about it, and I think I might give it a try. So I picked this up because it was a fair enough price that if I decided not to do anything, it's not that big of a loss. So this is the 2021 release of the Revell 69 Camaro RS, and I kept passing these up at we'll get into this later, but I went to the IPMS Reno show, and there were 2 of these for sale there, and they were cheap, but I kept passing up on them because they had the RS style grills, and I prefer the non-hideaway ones. And so I passed up on both of these, and then found out later that that grill is actually included in these. So then I had to pay a little bit more for this, but still not too bad. So I picked this up just in case I do get the motivation to work on it. Fun fact, or I guess fun little tidbit. Last week, Brian of BG Model Works was close to me visiting some family, and he invited me out for lunch. It was really nice to have lunch with him and his wife, Mrs. BG. And we started talking a little bit about this, and he started filling me in on his plan for the build, which I don't think he's gone public yet, so I'll respect that, but I really like his idea. And so that's also kind of helping with the whole motivation thing. So we'll see. I have an idea for this. You might end up seeing it, or you'll never see it again. We'll see. All right, so moving on. I had mentioned that I was at the IPMS Reno show, and I went up with a couple club members from my local IPMS club, which was IPMS Santa Rosa, which is now called the Wine Country Modelers. And we went up there with, I think there were 4 or 5 of us from the club, so that was a fun little excursion. It was a great trip. I stayed by Lake Tahoe, and went on a beautiful little hike. Actually found a Nash Metropolitan just in the middle of the woods that had been all spray painted and whatnot. That was really cool to see. The show was at the National Automobile Museum, which, a little confession of embarrassment here, I had really low standards for. I didn't look it up. I was just like, okay, it's going to be a car show or a car museum in Reno. It's going to be pretty standard, right? No. Turns out that's the former Harrah's collection, as in Harrah's Casinos, and they are one of the more winning Pebble Beach Concours collections. And they had some just amazing cars, and I was just shocked. So if you're ever in the Reno area, go to this museum. It is so worth it. I saw cars that I would never have imagined seeing in my life. And one of those, which I had no idea where this car was. I assumed that it was in the Henry Ford Museum, but that car was the Phantom Corsair. And just this absolutely gorgeous relic of the automotive world. I'm forgetting the year, but this is like in 1936, I think is when this came out. And just imagine seeing a car like this on the road in 1936. Like, that would be equivalent of seeing a UFO on the road today. So, just a gorgeous car. I've loved it for years and never thought I'd get to see it in person. So that was cool to, have it at this museum where the model show was. And also then I got to pick up this magnet for my magnet collection. Also picked up a few other small things. So they all had these free dog tag style keychains. So IPMS Region 9, the Reno High Rollers. So they were handing these out, so that was super cool. And also, one thing I love about IPMS is that some of the clubs will have these poker chips, and they'll give, a couple of them out to the members of a club that go to a show, and they'll place this. So, say this is your kit, and say they like this, they'll go ahead and they'll, place it next to you. And they'll be like, that's like their token of recognition. It's not like an award or anything, but it's from that club saying, hey, this is a cool model, have a little token of recognition. So I thought this was cool. Our club is actually going to be getting some of these, so it'll be fun to actually hand some of these out. This is the second one I've got, and it's a cool little thing, just kind of getting a little bit of extra recognition at a show. So that's cool and all, but let's get to the plastic. I didn't buy too much at the show. I really am trying to control my shopping, which I know a lot of people say, but I did pick up 3 kits at the show. The first one I picked up is this little guy. This is an SDV Tatra 8x8 truck, and mainly picked this up because, it's a big old truck. It's a Tatra. These things are cool. And this is now the second cheapest model kit I have ever bought at a model show. But this is now, the other one I bought, it is complete, but it's also not, it was opened, So I don't really know how to count this, but I think this is officially, because it is sealed on the inside, never been touched. So I think I want to call this the cheapest kit I ever bought at a model show, and I think that could be fun to say. And I got it for $3. So I might end up actually building this. It'd be a fun little thing to do. It's 187 scale, so it's tiny. It's HO scale. But I think that could be a fun little clickbaity title, building the cheapest model kit I ever bought. So we'll see about that. And then the next kit I bought was this big old thing. This is a 25th scale boat. This is the Owens Deluxe Cruiser. And I have, I don't think I have this one, but I have a similar boat kit, but I can't forget what it is. I know I have a couple of the sport boats, but yeah, 25, or how much was this? $10. So $10 for a 25th scale boat, could be cool. It does not come with a trailer, unfortunately, which is what I was hoping. It also looks very simplistic. How many parts does it have? Does it say? I don't know. Can't be that many, though. Highest number I'm seeing on the instructions is 28, so it's probably got something like 30 pieces altogether. But yeah, cool little thing. Could be fun to build a trailer for that, put it behind a car. Who knows? But for $10, it's one of those. I don't know if I'll do anything with it, but I think it's worth picking up. So that is that. And then the final kit I picked up at the show. It's actually one of my kits I've been wanting for a couple years, and was hoping that I would eventually find one for a decent price. and that happened to be the IPMS Reno show. And I know this is probably one of the most common Grail kits out there, both in the fact that it's not the rarest thing in the world. It's definitely not the rarest kit in my collection, but also, like, if you ask a lot of people what one of their Grail kits is, they'll probably say it's this one, and that will be actually the Johan turbine car, which, fun fact, is the first Johan that I actually have in my collection. So that's kind of cool. Now I feel like an official model car builder. I have a Johan now. So yeah, this is a kit that I've been wanting for a while. I actually have part of this kit. One of my actual Grail kits is the MPC 69 Firebird. I'm actually looking at it right now, so I will grab it. So yeah, I actually have part of this kit already, because as I was saying, one of my Grail kits is this right here, the 69 Firebird one-time release that came with the turbine engine, which, again, I don't have the ability, well, I guess I do now, but I have heard that this is the actual Johan turbine engine. I don't know how accurate that is. I guess I can check the parts now. But yeah, so I have this kit. This is one of my Grail kits. I just think this is so cool. They also had a 69 Camaro, but that didn't have the engine visible on the build. So yeah, not what this is about, but now I have the full turbine kit. And this is something I really do want to build at some point. This is not going to be a kit for the collection. The Firebird is definitely a kit for the collection. I don't plan on building that, but I think it could be fun to do one of these. So we'll see. And then also, fun fact, if you're a Steve Magnante fan, it does not have the Gold Cup, unfortunately. But it is complete on the inside, really well packed, molded in this kind of, maybe like a brick red is what I would call it. It looks kind of brown on camera, but it is more red in person. And yeah, got this for a very good price. The seller caught me looking at it a few times throughout the day and could tell I was trying to figure out if it was worth pulling the trigger. And then he decided to help me do that by giving me a really good deal, so I just couldn't say no, and so I'm super grateful for that. I now have this kit in my collection. So that is that. Now, on the way back from the IPMS show, another kind of fun thing that happened that weekend is ended up helping attempt to put out a fire on a truck, a truck that caught fire. If any of you are familiar with like the Reno, Tahoe area, you probably heard of Donner Pass, which is the route from the Sierra Nevadas that goes between Sacramento, California, up the hills through Tahoe, and then over to Reno. And it's this crazy mountain pass that gets tons of snow. You got drivers from both states that don't know how to drive in snow and probably don't have snow tires. It's a massive trucking route. It's part of I-80, so it's just this crazy road, and there's always stuff going wrong on it. And in this case, there was a camper truck where the exhaust must have fell down, started rubbing and throwing sparks, and caught the truck on fire. So I was the first person to get him to pull over, and I don't want to go on about this, but basically, long story short, I was coming down from a heck of an adrenaline rush. So I was like, you know what, I need to get off the road and just kind of relax a bit. And there was a hobby shop down in Sacramento, so I was like, all right, I'm going to go do that. And I actually picked up a kit that I've been wanting for a bit. Nothing specific about this, but I've been wanting a 1/72nd scale Soviet tank for a diorama I really want to build. Obviously, being part of an IPMS club and being surrounded by a bunch of military modelers is starting to rub off on me. I've kind of built one military model in the past. When I was really young, I built a Matchbox SDK, I think it is, whatever that German 8-wheel tank was. But I really want to build a diorama for our show coming up in April, our local show that our club is hosting. And so I picked this up, and It's a very, very simplistic kit, but that's fine because it is going to be a diorama piece. So I would love to get started on that soon. So that was this kit that I picked up. Sorry if that shook the camera at all. And yeah, so that was the Reno trip, and then I have three other kits that I bought more recently. So we'll start off with this little guy that I bought online. A couple weeks ago, there was a post going around in the social media world that Airfix is starting to throttle, if not shut down, their US distribution. And so that was kind of the, I'm not trying to cause panic. I don't know. I'm not a source. I'm just saying what I've read. And if you want to go ahead and panic buy, go ahead, I guess. But I just finally used it for the inspiration to get, or the motivation to get a kit that I've been kind of casually wanting for a bit, and that is this 43rd scale Series 1 Land Rover by Airfix. A friend of mine, who is actually not much of a model builder, he's more into the diecast community, is actually building one of these. So he was also kind of kind of another reason I got it. So I think this will be fun. It looks like an interesting kit, and again, I don't really know what I'll do with it, but yeah, figured now's the chance to probably get it. So got that, and then the same seller that had that online also had this. Now this is the Tamiya Toyota Soarer, as you can see, and mainly the reason I got this is because this seems to be on sale in a majority of places right now, including Tamiya's official website, and the current sale price that these are going for is $15 for a brand new sealed, Tamiya kit that is actually not a curbside. It does have an engine. It's like, okay, $15 for a Tamiya kit. Let's get it. So I picked this up, and I think it's another kind of interesting car. I don't have a lot of experience with the Soarer. I think this might be mainly a Japanese market car, but looks interesting. And another kind of cool thing about this is it actually comes with a clear hood. So I don't know if that's the only hood that's in the kit, but I know for sure that the tree that has all the windows has a hood on it. So you could actually build this with a clear hood to show off the engine. So yeah, another impulse buy, $15 for a Tamiya kit. I think that's pretty darn cool. So had to get that. And then the final kit, which was an eBay purchase, is another one for the collection as opposed to for the stash, and that is this Revell Cabrio Porsche 911. And the reason I bought this is because a few months ago, you might remember I did a video about a haul I got from a estate sale, and in that estate sale I purchased this 911 Cabrio. And what's interesting about this kit is that it was a Seiji release. So that is a French toy manufacturer that went out of business in like 85, I think it was. And Revell has done a couple of these, and I think maybe a couple other companies as well, where they partner up with a local distributor, a toy distributor, in order to help get their kits into a certain country. So they partnered up with Seiji in France. So these are actually a French release. As you'll notice, all the text in the box is in French. But what's also interesting about this, which I would have thought would have been different, is that this was actually made in Germany. So it was not made in France. So they only use Seiji for distribution, not for manufacturing. And so yeah, I picked this up, and that's kind of what inspired me to get this one, because this is also a Seiji release. These are the two Seiji Porsche 911s. So these are the two Revell 911 kits that were sold in France. So I now have both of them. And another kind of interesting thing is you'll notice, obviously, the different box art. I've always been a fan of this box art from this era of Revell, where it's just the car, the real car. And this one I said was made in Germany, where this one, which you can probably tell from the box art, is the American style. And this was actually made in America, but still sold in France. As you can see, all the a lot of the text is in French and English. So didn't realize that both of these were actually made outside of France. I thought they were, but yeah. So now I have the American-made French release of the kit, and then the German-made French release of the kit. So yeah, I guess with that, that's pretty much the haul, and we'll head out to the workbench. And okay, I lied. We're back here at the table, and I had one thing to show you before we go out to the workbench, and that is the one build that I've been able to finish, and that is this little door here. Oh, that didn't go well. So this is an idea I've been playing around with for a bit, and I took a door from the AMT Chevy 3100 truck kit and cut it out, rusted it up, added a decal with my logo on it, and then I added a pin to the back of it, thinking that this would be kind of a cool little name tag to wear to model shows and whatnot. So this is the version I currently have. I think at some point in the future it might be interesting to actually have some stencils made where I can actually paint on the logo. I have a little vinyl cutter. I don't know how much I'll be able to do with that, but I think that'd be a little more cool than having just the black logo, because that's what my printer can handle. So yeah, just a fun little thing I did, and I think, you know, it'd be kind of cool if other people did this. Took a door off of whatever you like, and I just did the truck door because I think it'd be cool as a shop truck. And yeah, this is kind of a cool way, if you do have a logo, put your logo on this and kind of use that as a name tag. So fun little thing I did. Now we're out to the bench. So here we are back at my messy workbench, and this is one of the main projects that I'm currently working on. This has been my entry for the SEMA build-off over on Instagram. And as you can see, this is a Volkswagen T3 Transporter, starting off as a van that is getting the transporter transformation. This is the new Stranger Things release, and I'll kind of talk you through what's been done on it. I haven't been making the best progress on this. It's just a lot of little things, but it's far enough along to kind of get you the idea of what's going to go on here. So first off, we are working on converting it to a transporter, like I said. So I'm filling in the windows with styrene, and in the process of filling and sanding to clear all these up. This door is kind of giving me a little bit of pain. That needs another coat, but the windows are doing okay. And then I am also working on lowering this, so that's where a lot of the work has been going into lately. So we'll go ahead and show you what's going on inside. So a lot of cutting has been going on in here, and a lot of cleaning needs to come next. So I cut out the wheel wells in the front and raised them up with some styrene in order to clearance the tires. Just to kind of give you an idea, here are the extra tires from the 914 I built. So they're going to tuck in there pretty nicely. And then the rear is also being worked on. Tried something a little interesting here. I've seen a lot of people use pill bottles for like tubbing drag cars, which are great if you're tubbing a drag car, but they're a little big for a European car. So these are actually film canisters. You know, I'm a photographer, so I have a bunch of these laying around. So I used one of them, cut off the bottom, sprayed some primer on here just to make sure that it would work well with primer, which it does, and then just cut the bottom and made some wheel tubs out of it. Still need to clearance the side and make sure that the wheels tuck in there pretty nicely. And then of course go in and clear up all this filler that I've used. You'll also notice that there's a little something missing here, which if we throw on the engine cover, you'll get a better idea of what's been cut out. and that's because this is going to be a mid-engine build. The engine that I've chosen is a little bit of a secret. It's a little bit of a surprise. So I'm not going to mention what that is, but it's big enough that it needs to be a rear engine. So that's your hint. Or sorry, a mid-engine. It used to be a rear engine, but now it's a mid-engine. So that is that. And then this weekend, I was able to put a little bit of time into starting the front suspension. I used some parts from a different kit that I converted into a dual wishbone. So I cut down the arms to make them the right size, added some styrene to them, did the same thing on the bottom, tried to replicate it more with having some larger styrene tubes as the hinge. Yes, I'm also going to figure out something about here. I had to clearance that in order to get the base to sit on the ground. So yeah, that's what I'm currently working on, is the front suspension. And then once we get that, we'll get on the rear suspension and, move on from there. So here's another just mock-up wheel I had. This is a 3-piece Fluke that I think was actually, it's a leftover from the 914 build. So I'm kind of using that as a mock-up because I like the size of this. So it is going to be pretty cambered in the front because I do want to add some airbags onto this and give it the idea that it is lowered, but that's how it's going to sit. So that is it for the Volkswagen. Now I'll clear up the bench a little bit and show you the other build that I'm working on. And here's the other build. This is pretty obviously a rail-style dragster. This is the one from the AMT double dragster kit. And this is a build that I started last year, mainly because last year I had designed this Oberhausen Raygun-style supercharger, and thought it would, I was wanting to use it on something, and I couldn't really think of anything other than a dragster. And so I started this build October last year. I actually started this on my birthday last year, and kind of did put some work into it and then kind of forgot about it. And I had a good friend of mine in the hobby design up some decals for it to go with a theme that we had talked about, and did some awesome work on those decals. And again, I kind of abandoned it. So I felt like I needed to get back to it. At the very least, I kind of felt bad for having my friend put so much effort into the design that was not being used. And it was just my birthday last week, so I kind of figured it would be kind of fun to, it was on my mind again. So back to building this. And yeah, it's going to be pretty simple. Obviously, it's just a dragster. I've never built like a proper dragster before. I built, my El Mirage 32.4, which is probably the closest that I've done. But that's more of like a street car that was made to race. But yep, so just kind of fiddling with this a little bit. And yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it, other than, there it is. So that pretty much covers what I've been working on and what I've been doing recently. I have another build that I was doing for the Revell build-off on Instagram, and that I cannot show. I'm at a little bit of a, tough place with that, because I was starting to rush it towards the end. It's, I would say, about 95% done, and I was in the process of gluing the body together, and I started getting really carried away and started rushing things, and had a moment of, I don't need to be rushing this. I still have a month before the build-off is over. And so, I took a break. I'm like, I need to step back from this. And now we're a couple days from the end of the build-off, and I have not touched it since because I'm scared to see if I mess anything up in my, I don't want to call it like a manic phase, but that's kind of what it felt like, of trying to get this thing put back together out of the excitement of it almost being done. So that's something I've always had. I get carried away with the excitement towards the end, and I need to just learn to breathe. So, maybe maybe today, maybe another day, I'll take an actual look at it and see where I'm at, but I'm a little worried to look at it again. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I am almost done with that. Working on the Volkswagen that's over there, working on this dragster, and that's kind of where my attention's been while building. So yeah, hopefully I'll have another video for you soonish. If we're lucky, it is the finished Revell build. If we're not as lucky, it'll probably be maybe this. Otherwise, it'll probably be an update on, maybe if I start the USAC build, or maybe you won't see me for another couple months. Who knows at this point. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.